everybody. It's that time of week again. We got another episode of Two for Two, the sports podcast for the culture by Voices of the Culture. I'm your host, Quis, and I'm with my boy, Nell, both lifelong sports fans. We're here to bring you another episode of Two for Two. This week, we're continuing on with our breakdown series of each NFL divisions. This week, we're going on to the AFC North and the AFC West. So we want to welcome everybody into the show. This is season 3, episode 4. Nell, how you feeling, my boy? We back. It's another pod, another day, another week. How we feeling?
Yes, sir. Feeling good, man. We're almost at that start. It's about that
Almost there.
time. It's
Hey,
been the Philly's been keeping me up this summer. I mean, 55 home runs this month so far as we speaking right now, but ready for some football, man. Ready to get into that action.
yeah, man, it's been a long road. It feels like it's been forever. We were waiting on this day or this time of year since the season ended. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of new stuff going
I mean,
on.
I wasn't really waiting for it. I mean,
I know. You were trying to delay this part of your life. I
no
know.
problem waiting. I need
But,
time to recover.
but you know the beauty of it is, regardless of if you want it to happen or not, it's gonna happen. NFL season is upon us, and we got 2 more divisions left on our series, man. The last one, so we're gonna jump right into it. We got a division that'll get a lot of listens. A lot of people like this division, the AFC North, featuring your Cincinnati Bengals, your Cleveland Browns, Baltimore Ravens, and your Pittsburgh Steelers. I gotta open it up properly because they will say it. So I'm gonna ask you now: is this the best division in football?
It's a tough one. Because the AFC East is so crazy.
Yeah, it's one of them divisions though. It's just always gritty. Like it's
It
always gritty.
definitely always, even when teams necessarily aren't Super Bowl contenders,
Right.
it's a rough division.
Yeah, it's by far I don't know if I would say it's the best division of football, but it's by far the most competitive. I think it's one of those where, like you said, even if every team is a sub 500 team, each time they play, it's like, they having bangers. We look at the Bengals now. They've retooled. They're, perennial Super Bowl contender year in and year out. You got the Browns, who are looking to be a lot better. The Baltimore Ravens bringing back Lamar Jackson healthy. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers, we got a text from Walt this morning. He said it's that time. So, Steelers fans, they've never been under 500. They hold that one near and dear. So, how would you rank each of these teams in the division? You got 4 of them. Would you say the Bengals are probably still the top dog? Ravens coming back 4. What you got?
Yeah, I got the Bengals right now. Joe Burrow. You know what I mean? What more can you say about him? He's proven to be that guy his first couple years in the league. So, him and, all the weapons he got at receiver with Chase, Higgins, Boyd. So, yeah, I'm going to rock with them at 1. 2, I'll probably go with the Ravens. This pretty much as long as they've had him, they've been, a pretty good regular season team. If he's back healthy, obviously, they're a threat. They were 8-4 before he got hurt last year.
Yeah.
So now they got Odell, Zay Flowers, finally giving him some weapons, new offensive coordinator, changing the philosophy of things from what they've been doing the last few years. So, that'll be different. I think they should be a pretty explosive offense this year. Lamar Jackson's still an MVP. He's still that guy. So
He's still him. He's still him.
expect them to be good. And then, 3 is I was talking shit earlier, but
That's why I was laughing. That's why I'm laughing. I gotta hear this one.
I mean, look, I'm not counting the Steelers out.
Okay.
They don't finish last in the division ever. So Tomlin, one of the best coaches in football. So I trust him, to get at least 9 wins out of this team. So the Browns, I'm higher on the Browns than maybe some. I think if Deshaun can get back to the way he was playing in Houston, I think they got a solid team around him. But TJ Watt and them boys on defense, Kenny Pickett's been looking solid in preseason. If he can improve and play a lot better than he did last year, that defense is, going to be great as usual. So, I expect the Steelers to, be in that mix, the 3 and 2 seed.
Yeah, it's an opportunity. Opportunities there. It's one of those divisions, man. Every year it's neck and neck. It goes down to the last game for somebody, whether it's the Steelers trying to sneak into the wild card. We saw the Ravens fighting for their lives last year. I think, it's one of those divisions where every game matters. You can't take a game off. I'm excited for when we get to the over under because I know those numbers look crazy. But so do you think So those are your best teams on paper. Do you have the Bengals winning division? You probably think that's probably
That's
easy.
pretty much how I see it going. Obviously, like I said, I think Deshaun can, you know, come back and be the kind of player that we saw him before,
Yeah,
him taking his time off. I think the Browns will be, a team you got to watch out for. But I think the Steelers right now, I probably trust them more than the Browns. So
right.
got them
Just because
in.
they haven't done it, they haven't done it.
Yeah.
We haven't.
But
Yeah,
yeah, and maybe if Kenny Pickett, shocks some people and he's better than expected, I think
yeah.
that offensive line is good. You got Deontay Johnson, got Pickens, maybe he breaks out this year and makes all them circus catches.
NFL young boy.
Yeah, when they matter. So the Steelers got some dogs. It's really just up to what Kenny Pickett does.
Yeah, and it's going to be really really interesting because I think all of these teams are improving. Right, you got the Bengals another year with Burrow. You got Jamar Chase. They got Joe Mixon coming back. Coach Zach Taylor. They've been there. So now it's more about how do they continue to improve and how do they get over the hump, which is the Kansas City Chiefs, right, in the AFC. The Ravens bringing back Lamar Jackson. You got Coach Todd Monken coming in to be a new offensive coordinator. J.K. Dobbins coming back healthy. You talked about OBJ. They drafted Zay Flowers, and then you look at the Browns, who it's a true. I guess this is Deshaun Watson's first year where he can kind of be without distractions. Right, last year it was a whole lot of talk about his off the field concerns and issues. And so he had a lot of distractions. And so this is the year where I think he finally has a full off season to just lock in. We're not worrying about the money. We just want to see him put up now, right? So each team's improving. And I think you said it already. The Cincinnati Bengals are probably a shoe in. The Ravens are most likely a shoe in. Then you got the Steelers teetering at 9, and then the Browns as well. So how many teams you see? Is this a division that can get 3 teams in? You think it's just the Steelers or excuse me, the Ravens and the Bengals? Or could we see some unprecedented? You might have 4 teams lobbying for a playoff spot by the time the end of the year.
Yeah, it's tough. I think it, very well could play out the all four teams maybe being in the mix at the end of the season. But we talk about the AFC East, how crazy that division is. They got 3 teams that, you know, got the talent to be in the playoffs and should be in that mix too. The West it's got 2, 3 teams that, people are expecting to make the playoffs. So not that many spots
Yeah,
up for grabs. So it's gonna be an interesting season for sure in that AFC.
yeah. AFC is going to be a gauntlet. It, it always is. It seems like, but this year specifically, we got a lot of talent throughout each division, as we've already touched on, and we'll get to.
It looks like the West when like the AFC used to be 50 wins.
Yeah, right,
Like
right.
crazy.
Yeah, it's just like that. That's actually a great analogy. The NBA where we got the East where you got the top 4 teams and everybody else is like, oh, we're not paying no attention to them. And then you got the West where you looking at the Warriors and stuff coming around at 6, 7, and you're like, what's going on? We got a team that just, what I'm saying, won a championship over here fighting for their playoff lives. So I like that analogy now. I think that's a good one, man. I gotta give you that one. You beat me to the NBA one before I could get you with my
I'm
my
always
weekly my weekly Sixers banter, but I think we're gonna get away from that. But we're gonna go right into each team now. So we're gonna look the Baltimore Ravens. We touched on OBJ. We talked about Zay Flowers. We got a new offensive coordinator. So, what are your expectations for the Ravens? How do you see this season playing out? Any surprises, perhaps? What do you got?
Yeah, like I said, I expect them to be a good football team. They were 8-4 last year before Lamar got hurt. Obviously, he's a former MVP. He brings a lot to that offense, dynamic playmaker. Now they actually got some playmakers on the outside, but don't forget they still got Mark Andrews too. One of the best, easily top tight end
Easy,
in the
easy.
league. He puts up numbers. That's been the big pass catcher for them the last couple of years. So, you got a couple of guys now on offense for them. So, Lamar got his money this offseason. They always got a good defense. They've been up there in sacks and pressures, got a really good secondary. So, they've got a team to go out there and compete. And, Lamar been to the playoffs a couple of times, hasn't been able to, have any success. So, now's the time for him to, put it all together this year.
Yeah, we talked a lot about put up or shut up with some other teams in the AFC and the NFC as well. I think the Ravens are right in that spot. Newly moved out to the Baltimore area. So, I'm feeling the vibes. A lot of people are really excited about the team, and I want to go on record. Like, a lot of people are trying to downplay how great Lamar Jackson is, right? We have never seen a quarterback like that ever. I mean, maybe Michael Vick, but I mean, what Lamar did when he came into the league and he took it over, like people trying to say he's a running back, this, that, and the third. The man can throw the football, man can run the football. He's the best runner on the field every game. He's the most talented player, most skilled player on the field. I think a lot of people have forgotten, and I hope, and I believe he firmly will, that Lamar Jackson will definitely prove everybody wrong, right? You just said it. He got his money now, right? So it's all football. It's all put up. It's time for him to show everybody who he really is, why he is an MVP, right? Why he's a talented quarterback in the league, not a running back, not a positionless guy. He's a guy that I think will lead the Ravens to a very deep playoff run. I'll say. I know you said they didn't have the success. If he can stay healthy, I think that team has an opportunity to really, really go places. Coach Harbaugh, I mean, I'm plug my, Jim, John Harbaugh now, his brother still as a head coach. I think they might have fixed the offensive coordinator issue. Hopefully, Todd Monken can come in and make some things happen. Like you said, they have more than enough weapons. This is the most weapons Lamar Jackson has ever had by far. And we saw what he did without weapons. So with weapons, I just think the sky's the limit. And I think they might be, one of them contenders, sneaky. They're gonna play great defense regardless of who they have over there. And the offense is no longer, the Lamar show and then Mark Andrews bail him out. Now he's really got some guys. I think OBJ has a lot to prove. I think that's the overall I guess I would say phrase for the Ravens. I think they just have a lot to prove. A lot of guys with chips on their shoulder, and I'm excited to see how they go, or how they do rather. So we looked at the Ravens. Now we got other quarterbacks in the division. You talked a little bit about Joe Burrow. You talked a little about Kenny Pickett and Deshaun Watson. So what are your expectations for each of those quarterbacks moving forward as this season begins soon?
Yeah, well, Joe Burrow, I just expect nothing but greatness from him. He's proven that the last couple of years. We talk about, Patrick Mahomes, where he's been since he's been a starter in this league. And you look at Burrow, AFC Championship, Super Bowl, his first year starting full season. He's just becoming one of those quarterbacks that you just trust in big moments. And, like any given week, you just feel like you got the best guy on the field, even going up against a Patrick Mahomes, who, first up until the AFC Championship last year, he was his kryptonite.
Yeah,
So,
stands out. Yep.
so
I can see an MVP season for Joe Burrow this year.
yeah,
I know he had the injury early in camp. I'm sure he'll probably start the season off just fine. He avoided a big time injury. But yeah, I'm right with you. I think Joe Burrow, this might be the year where he, we always talk about Pat Mahomes is the Grim Reaper. He's the guy to catch. But Joe Burrow, he's consistently been right there. We've seen he's been like you say, he's a big time player. When it's time to play, the moment is never too big for him. And I'm excited to see how he looks. I think that, another year in that system, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, those guys, man, they only getting better over there. The offensive line has gotten better. Yeah,
yeah.
and they're young. So I mean we've already talked now about two teams in the AFC North that can really get it going. So I'll let you go ahead and finish about Kenny Pickett and Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, Kenny Pickett, we'll see. Like I said, I think preseason, he's looked a lot better. They've got a great defense over there in Pittsburgh. So, if he can come out and, maybe be a game manager, offer up some big plays, that offense, should be good enough to, win a lot of games. He was 5-1 down the stretch last year. Played pretty good, only had one turnover. That was a big thing for him. As long as he's not turning the football over, that should help out too. So I'm not expecting much, but we'll see what kind of improvements he's really made, and see what kind of quarterback he can be. As far as Deshaun Watson, we talked about his off the field issues and missing all of not all of last year, the year before that, missing 10 games, the first 10 games this year. So he's got a lot to prove as well. That last year in Houston had 4,800 yards.
Hey, they were saying he was like Michael Jordan. That's what you know what I'm saying?
37 touchdown interception ratio, 70% completion percentage. We know he can do with his legs, getting out the pocket. So, I mean, if he's healthy this year and he can kind of get back to that, I feel like he's got more talent on that Cleveland team than he did in Houston when he was putting up numbers.
Sure.
So I mean, if he can tap back into that, I think they've got enough talent to be good. Like you said, he's got something to prove this year. So we'll see. But I think he can tap back into it. But 2 years, it's gonna take him some time. But hopefully, this off season was enough for him to get back to playing some really good football. And like I said, the Browns got some talent. If he can put it together.
Yeah, and that's what it's gonna boil down to for the Cleveland Browns, for Deshaun Watson, is putting it all together. You touched on the talent around him. We know Nick Chubb and what he does running the football. They got Amari Cooper. They got Elijah Moore over there. My boy from Michigan, Donovan Peoples-Jones. So they got some weapons. David Njoku at tight end. And I think there's an opportunity. There's an opportunity there. When you're looking at Kenny Pickett as well, the Steelers, I always say it, they have mastered the ugly win, right? This has been years and years and years and years. If the game is close, if it's nasty, ugly, turnovers, fumbles, Steelers every time. Every time the Steelers will find a way to gut that out because that's just their culture, right? We talk about culture all the time. That's just how they are. Mike Tomlin, his team, they know how to win tough football games. And we look at Kenny Pickett. He doesn't, you said it perfectly, game manager. He doesn't have to be Ben Roethlisberger, but I know a lot of Steelers fans say he has some Ben Roethlisberger-esque capabilities when he's going out there and calling the offense and they're moving up and down. That's something I want to see from the Steelers. I want to see them with a little bit more pace, a little bit more tempo. I think George Pickens has the potential to be a monster. He's got the temperament. He's got the makeup. I mean, he's a big dude. He's a tough competitor. I mean, he fits the AFC North mold perfectly, right? I want to see them push the ball down the field a little bit more. They got Najee Harris. Love Najee Harris on the offensive side of the ball. I think this year will be a big bounce back from last year. But Kenny Pickett, like you said, it's going to come down to him not doing too much, not taking this team out of games. I think that's what they're preaching to him. In preseason, I know you're not a preseason guy. They looked very good. I know that doesn't mean much either. But a lot of Steelers fans have a lot to be, I would say, excited for as the season moves closer with Kenny Pickett going into year two. All of Pittsburgh is behind them. So moving out of that, looking at the quarterbacks, let's move to some X factors. It might be a quarterback. We'll start with the Cincinnati Bengals, who you have a player, a coach, specific unit that's going to be the X factor this year for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to that offensive line. It's still a work in progress, like you said. It's getting a lot better, definitely since Joe Burrow's first season there. So if that offensive line continues to improve, build continuity, give Joe Burrow, he likes to throw the quick passes, but if they can give him some extra time in that pocket for some more big plays to like we talked about his weapons and Chase and Higgins, those kind of guys, that only bodes well for their Super Bowl chances.
Yeah, and it's going to come down to protecting Joe Burrow. I mean, that's a great pick. It's the offensive line is, when we saw them lose, what I'm saying, that was something. Joe Burrow's running around for his life. We saw early in his career where he got injured, running around for his life. And we see how he's made plays without, right? But now that they're getting a lot better, we're going to continue to expect a lot from them. I'm going to go with the safe route. I think my X factor has to be Joe Burrow. And it's because of what you touched on a little bit earlier about how great he is and who he's chasing, right? Last year, he had over 4,000 yards for the second year in a row, 35 touchdowns. But what's next for him? I like to say, like, is there more? Does he have something else that he can give to push this Bengals team to actually win a Super Bowl? They've seen it. They felt it. They got close. They know who they're chasing in the AFC. But we just talked about this division it's gonna prepare him. But I want to see. I think Joe Burrow, he has to embrace it all, and I think he does. I think he will, and I think that if he can continue to improve, if he can get even better, going off of 4,000 yards and 35 touchdowns. I mean, sky's the limit. I mean, I don't see any. They can win shootouts.
Start last year.
Yeah, I mean,
Didn't they start 0-3 last year?
Yeah, they had a really slow start last year, and they still it was like it was nothing. You know what I'm saying? I think that's something else that comes with having Joe Burrow. They're confident. I mean,
he was injured last year too.
They had injuries. You see, like Jamar Chase said when Joe Burrow got hurt this year, he's like, I'd rather him not rush back. We're gonna be good when he get here, and that just speaks volumes to the kind of player, the kind of leader that Joe Burrow is. And I think he has to be the X factor. I'm not gonna say Jamar Chase is wrong. but I wouldn't want Joe Burrow to miss any games because if he's on the field, you have opportunity to win every single game. And I just want to see how much better can he get? How much more can improve? Another year in the same system with the same weapons. I think Joe Burrow is the X factor this year, just because he's gonna have to continue to show something. What about the Cleveland Browns? I think I might know where you're going with this one, but what you got?
Yeah, definitely Deshaun Watson.
Yep.
We talked about it's a pretty good team around him. Defensively, you got some pieces with Myles Garrett's a star. You got some guys in the secondary, Denzel Ward. Offensively, you got Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, and Njoku. Chubb, ran for 1,500 yards last year. So they've got some weapons. So Deshaun, all that money he's making, what 240 million, whatever he got, like
Too much.
you know, time to start earning it. So
Yeah,
he's my expected this year.
yeah, I like that pick. I figured that you would go that route. I'm gonna say that his receiving core is gonna be the biggest X factor. I talked about Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, DPJ, and Joku. I think the one thing we talk about with quarterbacks, like there's quarterbacks that can win it by themselves. I think Deshaun Watson has that ability. We talked about Joe Burrow. We talked about Lamar Jackson just in this division, guys that can take over games and win them by themselves, right? But I think if the receiving core can help Deshaun Watson out, Amari Cooper, who has a former Dallas Cowboy, right? He a guy that you look at him, you don't always think of him as a top 10 guy, but he has that ability. I mean, some people argue he's a top 10 receiver. Elijah Moore gets to change the scenery. What can he do now that he's in Cleveland as opposed to being with the New York Jets? And can Donovan Peoples-Jones, my Michigan guy, can he take another step to help this team out? I think there's nothing. Now they say a run game helps a quarterback out, but if your receivers are getting open for you, it's a lot easier to throw it to an open receiver than as opposed to trying to make everything happen yourself. And I think that's what Deshaun Watson fell into a little bit last year. He kind of felt like he had to do a little bit too much, which is too much pressure, just from missing games, maybe not having a bona fide number two or what have you. I think this year if the receiving core can help him out, that'll make the Browns a lot better offensively. It'll help open up the run game, and I think it'll allow Deshaun Watson to be a lot more comfortable. And I think a comfortable quarterback is a dangerous quarterback. So, what you got for the Baltimore Ravens?
I'm gonna go Odell. We talked
I like
about
that. I like that.
new offensive coordinator,
Mhm.
uh, new philosophy. He's going to be throwing the ball more. He's got his weapons. So, and Odell still got a lot to prove. We haven't seen him since, the Super Bowl 2 years ago. So,
He said he was gonna go crazy in that Super Bowl too. So that's something to
he-
back up. That's those words you got to back up.
he's got to prove he still got it. Got to prove he's healthy. So, if he does that, and like you talk about the Ravens, they could be special. If he can get back to, being a really productive receiver and, be a true number one for them,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
right.
not only just from the pure performance perspective, right? You talk about drafting guys like Zay Flowers, being he's a veteran in that wide receiver room, so he brings another dimension outside of just his aura, outside of just his ability on the football field. I think that's a great pick. You got me low key kind of questioning my pick, but I went with Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator. I think we heard so much about how Greg Roman was holding back this offense, running real vanilla plays, not running the ball enough, not being creative enough for Lamar Jackson. But you just talked about it. He's got weapons and he's back healthy. He's got his money. So I think it's on Todd Monken to be able to utilize these guys. It's nothing to have weapons and not know how to use them. You know what I'm saying? So I think if Tom Monken coming from Georgia, he's Georgia's offensive coordinator last year. For those of you who are, I know we have some of our fans are more casual fans that just want to keep up. So Todd Monken, he former offensive coordinator last year for the Georgia Bulldogs. Previously had coached for my Tampa Bay Buccaneers actually. Uh, hey, I don't know. But I personally wanted him to come back to the Bucks this year, but now he's with the Ravens. And I think that he has a very tall task. I mean, we know who the Ravens are. You know, John Harbaugh, he trusts his players. He wants his players to be in positions to succeed. He lets the guys play. Him and Lamar have great chemistry. But now, if Tom Monken, the guy calling the plays, can he build great continuity and chemistry with Lamar Jackson and keep those guys on schedule. Because I think that offense, man, they have so much potential, but if you don't know how to use them, if you're too vanilla, especially in this division, it's easy to get left behind, man. So I'm right with you with OBJ, but I think Tom Monken as well. You are on the watch list, my man. It's up to you. Who you got? Last team, Pittsburgh Steelers, X Factor.
Uh, Damn, who was my X factor for the Steelers? I guess I'll go Kenny Pickett. I think that's who I put down.
Yeah,
You know, like I said,
I'm right with you.
they got a good offensive line. Got the Deontay Johnson, Pickens. So if he can come in and improve, show some real growth as a quarterback. They got a great defense. It'll probably be top 5, top 10 defense in the league again for sure. You got great coaching. Like I said, it's a tough conference, but he's really going to have to step up to if the Steelers want to make some big noise. I know they'll play hard because that's just what that franchise does. But if he makes a lot of growth, as a passer, it could be scary.
Yeah, I'm right with you. Kenny Pickett's my X factor. For all the reasons you said, they've got a great defense. They've got enough weapons around them. They've got great coaching. They've got a great culture. It's all on Kenny Pickett. Can he prove that the Steelers made the right decision? I couldn't even tell you who their backup quarterback is. They're all in on Kenny Pickett. He played at Pitt. Now he's with the Steelers. But this is the year. Can he put it all together? Can he do enough to get them over the hump? Can he do enough to keep them from losing ball games? I said they're going to be in every game, but then it comes down to the quarterback. Can he manage the game well enough? Can he get the ball to George Pickens? Can he get the ball to Deontay Johnson? Pat Fryermuth is one of the top upcoming tight ends. We've seen how tight ends are revolutionizing the game. Can he do enough to keep that offense on schedule? Because the defense is going to fight for you. TJ Watt going to fight for you. Cam Hayward going to fight for you. Can you do your job to be able to keep this team above water? Because I think Mike Tomlin's going to prepare them week in and week out. And just the division alone is going to be tough, let alone trying to compete in the AFC. So I think it's all eyes on Kenny Pickett. I think if he does take the next step, if he does show something outside of, just being okay, hey, we got another team that can make some noise in the AFC, man. So moving from that, I think we touched on a lot of good stuff there. Kenny Pickett, OBJ, Todd Monken, Burrow. We got Deshaun Watson as well as his receiving core. What team now? This division, we talked about how loaded it is. Most competitive division in football. Who is under the most pressure to succeed in this division? Could be a player, could be a team, coach, somebody on the hot seat. Who you got?
I'll say the Ravens, just because Lamar Jackson. We talked about not having that deep playoff run yet. He's got his MVP. He's got his money. Now he's got his receivers. So now it's time to go out there and put on the big stage. So I think the Ravens, got the most pressure on them. I think the Bengals, they've had so much early success, and we know they're young. Windows are real small in football, no matter what age you are. But I think you're more confident in that group going forward. Than the Ravens, who have been at this for a while. Trying to crack the code with Lamar and Harbaugh. Who knows how much of a leash Harbaugh has.
Yeah.
Trying to make this thing work. So I'll say the Ravens.
Yeah, and it's a team that, a franchise that they know success, right? They've won championships. They've been around. They've had Hall of Famers through and through. I mean, you look at the roster now, it's like, what else do you need? You know what I'm saying? They got defense, they got offense, they got one of the most dynamic players, if not the most dynamic player in the NFL. I'm right with you on that. But I got another name for you, and we already talked about him a little bit. Deshaun Watson, the man that has made 5 years, 230 mil fully guaranteed. We talked about how he missed a whole year, then he missed 10 games. Pressure's on, Mr. Watson. If you can't do it this year, we talk about windows. You know what I'm saying? You won't that money will get moved around, or you will get moved around. I think if the Browns don't put up this year, if Deshaun Watson doesn't have a close to what he was in Houston type of year, it's going to be a lot of questions. They're going to have a lot of he's gonna have to answer a lot of different things. He's a likable guy. His off the field issues are what they are. We won't get too much into that. However, on the field, your production has to match what that contract says. And the Cleveland Browns signed him with the idea that he was going to be who he was prior to the off the field stuff. I think in this division, despite what we already said about how the Bengals are far and away one of the best teams in the league, definitely the best team in the division. We talked about the Ravens. We talked about how competitive the Steelers are. Regardless, the Browns have kind of been like this the stomping mat for a little while in this division. And I know that organization is sick of that. That's why they went out and signed Deshaun Watson. That's why they've made all the moves that they have to bolster that roster. It's on Deshaun Watson to show and prove this year. So I think if he can do something, they have a chance. If not, I ain't said it yet. Somebody gonna get fired, and I don't know who it's gonna be. So I like that pick of the Ravens. I think Deshaun Watson's right up there with them. Let's move to my favorite segment, your favorite segment, the people's favorite segment. Over under. We get a lot of fan love from this one. A lot of people are like, "Oh, you crazy?" A lot of this and that. Who you got? AFC North over under. Let's start with the Cincinnati Bengals. I know it's gonna be something high, but what you got?
11 and a half.
Oh wow, that's it.
That's it.
Ooh, 11 and a half. Okay, Cincinnati. I got to go over. I think they're just too talented offensively. They can win shootouts. The defense will get enough stops. Haven't even looked at their entire schedule yet, but I mean, I think in this division, I mean, between the games that they're gonna have, I think they probably sweep the Browns. I think they might get the Steelers probably twice as well. They might split with the Ravens. So I'll take the over. I'm pretty comfortable with that. I trust Joe Burr.
Yeah, yeah. Over, the division will be tough. That's 6 tough games right there. But
Yeah,
outside of that, like I said, even when you feel like Joe Burrow's outmatched, he's never really
finds a
outmatched.
way, man.
No
Finds a
matter
way.
if it's Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, he's always going to give his team a chance. So, I definitely got them getting 12 wins.
Yeah, I think that's pretty easy. I like that one. What you got for my Baltimore Ravens? Mind you, I'm gonna go ahead and throw that out. I'm gonna throw that out there. Newly moved. I do support the Ravens slightly. They're not my team, but I do follow them a lot more because that's all that's around me. So who you got? What you got over under? What they looking at?
10 and a half.
Ooh. Okay, I actually got there. I got there.
110
Thanks.
left here.
You said 10 and a half. They won 10. Lamar healthy. I mean, they got
Delhi, Flowers,
they got the Texans on there. I see the Colts on there. That's two.
Smith.
Browns, they probably get one. Titans, they get one. Lions, what's that? Five. Cardinals, six. Seahawks, seven. Rams, that's probably eight. Jags, that might be like nine. Then you got some divisional games in there. You got the 49ers as well, the Chargers. I'm gonna go with my boys. I'm gonna say over for the Baltimore Ravens. I think that Tom Munkin, while I say he's an X factor, it's not too hard to scheme with that man Lamar Jackson back there. I mean, you can't scheme for some of the things that he can do on the football field. OBJ, I think, like you said, has a lot to prove. J.K. Dobbins has a lot to prove coming back from injury. He knew he wasn't 100% himself, and that's crazy. Me talking well and highly about Ohio State guy. I think that defense, they got some guys over there as well. I think Zay Flowers has potential to be a sneaky offensive rookie of the year candidate. I don't think they drafted him to be a number three. I don't think they drafted him really to be a number two. So I think I'm comfortable with the over. I think they'll find a way to win games. The Ravens have to beat themselves to lose. They have a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. They also have great coaching. They're like a more talented roster of the kind of like the Steelers in a sense, and that's why that division is how it is. So I'm gonna comfortably go with the over. I'm a little nervous about these next two because I took the over twice, but let's go ahead. Let's go with the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, I'm a rock that over too. That's a good one. So now we going to the Browns. What we got?
Browns, yeah. I'm pulling up the schedule right now.
9.5.
9.5. Start the year off with the Bengals. Oof. Move on to the
Tough.
Steelers.
It's a
Oof.
tough one.
They got the Titans on there. They play the Niners. They got the Colts on there, Seahawks, Cardinals. Ooh, I'm gonna go under, man. I don't see it. I just don't. I don't see how they get. You said it's 9.5, right?
Yeah.
See how they get 10. I think they. I think they can beat up on the Rams. I think they'll beat up on the Broncos.
I really think Houston, Deshaun coming back.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Even this is the problem isn't even the it's the division games, man. I can there's just toss ups to me, man. I feel like any of these games can kind of go either way. Any given Sunday, right? Talent on both sides of the
Six
ball.
timed out games.
Yeah, it's gonna be grind out games, and I think just looking at like we said about the other
Rest
teams
of
in
the
the
schedule, the
division,
rest of the schedule is crazy too.
yeah, and bro, you got to go play the Seahawks. You got to go play the Niners. You got to go play. I mean, the Broncos won't be an easy game, especially on the road. You got the Jets late in the season too. We already talked about them last week, man. I'm gonna go under, bro. I just don't. I think some teams are who they are. You know, I want Deshaun Watson to succeed. I want the Browns to be all right, the dog pound, whatever they want to go by. Um, but I think I'm gonna go under, man. I just don't think they get 10. I can see them getting 8 or 9 comfortably. I'm comfortable with 8 for sure. I don't think they get 10. No, I'm gonna go under.
Yeah, just a real tough schedule. Deshaun, he's really going to have to tap back into that Jordan level if they want to get, 10, 11 wins out of that schedule. But moving on to the Steelers, we got 8.5. That's kind
Gosh,
that's kind of disrespectful for the team that ain't been
yeah.
ain't been
I'm
under
not
100 under Mike Tomlin.
I'm not one to ever go against what history shows, man. I just trust Mike Tomlin too much. We root for our brothers over here as coaching in this field. He's done it for a long time. He's got the recipe. He's got the formula. I think the difference between them and the Browns is what I said earlier. The Steelers know how to win ugly games. If it's a game, when the Steelers play the Bengals don't score 30, 40 points. You know what I'm saying? When the Steelers play the Ravens, they're not going to score that many points. And if they keep it low scoring, you might be cooked because they're not gonna make mistakes when it counts. They're gonna outcoach you. They're gonna be a tougher team than you. I'm comfortable with the over on the Steelers. Even looking at their schedule, they start with a tough one against the 49ers, but I guarantee they make that game a lot tougher for the 49ers than some people would think. They move on to the Browns. They got the Raiders on there, Texans. I think they can get 2 wins in there before they go into rivalry week. Ooh, Lord, that's crazy. Rivalry week. Golly, Marquise. Sheesh, against the Ravens. I think that'll be tough, a tough one for them. But then they bounce back with the Rams. Got the Jags. We talked about the Titans. Yeah, it's a little disrespectful. I think that's a little low. I think them in the Browns game should be a little flipped in terms of their projections. But I'm gonna go over just because I think they win 9. It's just how they are. They're not going under 500 now, and I don't think they got worse at all. So I'm comfortable with the over for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, you can just pretty much pencil them in for 9 wins with Mike Tomlin as the head coach of that football team. As long as they got bodies walking in that locker room, they gonna get at least 9 wins. So especially like you said, they still got a pretty good football team too. TJ Watt, I mean, they were 2-6, while he was hurt for a bit, and then when he came back, their defense just went to another level, and Kenny Pickett started to play better. So they get that for a whole season. TJ Watt stays healthy. He's one of the craziest difference makers, on defense in the league. So definitely got them for 9 wins.
Yeah, I think that's pretty safe. I'll never count out a Mike Tomlin coach team. I'll never count out the Pittsburgh Steelers. Grew up a Steelers fan. My dad, big Steelers fan, until I moved over to the NFC. Hey man, hey.
Moved over and you moved over to the Bucks.
I'm not going into that story today.
You gotta go into it someday. How the hell did
I
that?
mean, hey, look, we'll go into it when we win another.
Wasn't they the Succaneers?
When they were, but when we win another Super Bowl, I'll go into the story. I'll go on a whole rant. We'll have a pod just for me to go on and talk. We'll move out of the AFC North though for the time being. I think we're gonna title that division something to prove. I think all 4 teams have something to prove in the AFC North. Uh, we're gonna move to the final division on our NFL divisional breakdown to wrap this whole thing up, man. The AFC West featuring the Grim Reaper, Patrick Mahomes, defending Super Bowl champs, Kansas City Chiefs. Got some new blood in this division. We got some young talent, some teams moved around. We got new coaches. We got the Denver Broncos the Chargers, the Chiefs, and the Raiders. We got to start with the big dog. Can the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes do it again, Nell? What do you think?
Man, why not?
Why not? Why
Why
not?
not? I mean,
Hey,
as long as you got Mahomes, Kelsey, and Andy Reid, I mean,
hey, as long as three things are
you're
constant,
gonna be
man.
there. Like you gonna be there. I mean, it's tough to win back to back. Even Patrick Mahomes couldn't do it.
Now
But
I've got another shot.
he gonna get you right there in at least the AFC Championship game. If not the Super Bowl. So no reason for me to think that they can't. You still got Patrick Mahomes. You still got that man. As long as him and Kelsey are on the field, they gonna be a top five offense. Led the league in points last year. That's after losing
And they got better. They got better. They added some guys. So I mean, yeah, I'm right with you, man. We're not in the business of getting canceled on here or just saying ridiculous things to get some to go viral. That if we're gonna go viral, that we're gonna do it the right way. We ain't going out flaming, just saying something about the Chiefs
gonna
and
be
Pat.
coming from the heart.
Yeah, it's Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs, man. It would be crazy if we came on here talking about they're not going to do it again or they can't do it again. Like you said, that man, I call him the Grim Reaper. My boy Temp calls him the Grim Reaper. As long as he on that field, one ankle, no ankles, as long as he got an arm that can move, as long as that, I mean, shoot, he might can throw with the left. I don't know, but that man's special. As long as they got Andy over there and Travis Kelsey, the best tight end in football, you can never count the Chiefs out. I won't count them out. I think they can win any ball game, no matter what. No defense, with defense. I know they got some things going on right now with Chris Jones. Chris Jones knows what's going on. He'll be back when it's time to win some football games. I think Patty and the guy and the boys, they'll easily win this division. Won't even need to talk about who wins this division. Uh, I think that was pretty easy. I think Pat Mahomes is just going to continue to wow us. At this point, it's more about what else can he do, right? I talked about Joe Burrow. Is there more? I don't know if there's much more that Pat Mahomes can do. This man got a Hall of Fame resume already. And if he can go back to back, man, I think that might cement him top three quarterbacks of all time already. You know what I'm saying? He's that good. He's that talented. He's a different type of player. We know his QB1 debut on Netflix got him even more love than he already had. I'm not the type of guy to go against Pat Mahomes. Nell's not either. The Chiefs and Pat Mahomes absolutely can make another run. Won't even need to spend too much time on that one. If you think otherwise, please, please, please leave a comment on the Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, whatever, and argue with the masses because you got to be some kind of hater to think that them boys not going to win. Even I can say that, and my team beat them in the Super Bowl. So, I mean, hey. But we're going to move out of the Chiefs. We'll come back to them when we look at X factors. We got Broncos country. Let's ride. Russell Wilson. Can he do something this year? He's got a new coach, Sean Payton. He's got another baby on the way. What can he do? Can Russell Wilson figure it out now that he has who some say is a top coach? I'm not a big Sean Payton fan. Some people are. But can he do it now that he has new coaches in place? Sean Payton and Russell Wilson. Can that duo work? No. What do you think?
I don't know. Much remains to be seen. I'm a firm believer. That last year got to be an outlier for Russ. Like that can't be the norm for Russell Wilson. Like this man was Houdini in Seattle. You just never knew what kind of tricks he was going to pull out his hat. So I'm hoping that Russ gets back to his magic, and if he does, with Sean Payton, I think it could be a really good duo. I think it comes down to how well they run the football this year. Will Javonte Williams be healthy? Because I think that'll take a lot of the pressure off Russell Wilson. Especially, I mean, he is making a lot of money, so the pressure is still on. But I think that'll go a long way in kind of them fixing that offense because last year it was just bad.
Yeah.
And the defense got a lot of talent. They've got a bunch of pass rushers. You got Pat Surtain in the secondary. So you got some guys there. If Russ can get back to cooking this year and being that kind of MVP talent that we were used to in Seattle, I don't see them as a Super Bowl contender, but in the regular season, they could make it tough for some teams.
Yeah, and I'm right with you. Like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of Sean Payton, but I do love Russell Wilson. I think he's a consummate pro, great leader. Some people might say it's corny, but I mean, he knows what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? And he's talented regardless. It was hard watching him last year because it just looked like who are we watching? That's not Russell Wilson that we all come to know. You know what I'm saying? Nathaniel Hackett is gone. I won't speak down on the man. Sean Payton already did that. But I think looking at how they went last year, they kind of have to improve, right? I mean, I don't think Russell Wilson is as bad as he looked. I think he's really big on he wants to win football games. I think he knows what it takes to get better. I think last year was put a little battery in his back. Uh, he has something to prove as well. Show that he's not washed up. Show that he's worth the what the Broncos gave up to acquire him. And I think it's they has to. This division, we know who's going to lead the division, but I mean, there's opportunity in this division. The AFC is stacked, as we said. If the Broncos want to win, Sean Payton didn't go to the Denver Broncos to be mediocre. He went to the Denver Broncos with the idea in mind that they can be a lot better. I think, they lost Tim Patrick already for the year. Unfortunate injury for him. Jay Judy's a little banged up. But I think they have enough weapons on offense. You talked about Javonte Williams. They have enough weapons on offense to make some noise, to make games tough, to grind out a couple wins. They got Russell Wilson over there leading the charge, so I'll never count him out. And you touched on the defense. I think they figured out. I think they're a lot better this year. I watched them play a preseason game against the Cardinals. Cardinals mostly had backups in. They were teeing off on Russ, so that offensive line is going to need to do a little bit better to protect him, I think. He's definitely getting a little bit older. He's not going to take a bunch of hits no more. But we do know he's tough as nails, so I think they do figure it out. And I hope so because, man, I want to see Russell Wilson. I want to see our brother succeed, man. So I hope that the Denver Broncos can be a little bit better. I know that's a franchise that's used to success as well. They don't like being bottom of anybody's division. So we'll move on from them. We'll monitor them closely. Moving on to somebody we talked about already, Justin Herbert and the Chargers. Is this the year that they can put it all together, Neil? Or what? What you got?
I mean, it'll be all right. I mean, hey, got Justin Herbert. The offensive line should be a lot better this year. Rashawn Slater coming back. Joey Bosa, if he can stay healthy this year. You got a ton of playmakers. You got Eckler, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams.
They
Hey,
got guys.
drafted Quentin Johnston. So I mean, yeah, you got plenty of guys. You got big names on defense: Derwin James, Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa. So I mean, they definitely got a stacked roster. So we'll see what Herbert can do this year. Got a lot of guys, but like you said, everybody's just fighting for second place in that division. So, a lot of teams in the AFC, not that many wild card spots. So it's going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like you said, they don't want to get left behind. I think,
Especially after blowing that 27-point lead.
yeah, an absolute embarrassment, something that you would never imagine, right? We saw how good they were, and then just flatline, like it just went all bad real fast. And I think we talked about who has the most pressure or in the AFC North. Justin Herbert and the Chargers have to have the most pressure, right, in the AFC West. I mean, it's put up or shut up time. That roster, those guys you named are some of the biggest names of football. Whether you're a casual fan, you watch every day, you read every day, whatever. Like most people know at least half of the guys you just named, right? They have way too many big names, way too much talent. I know they always get hit with the injury bug. Last year the defense was banged up. I'll touch on them a little bit later, but they got to put it together. And if not, I mean, that's what separates Justin Herbert from the Joe Burrows and the Pat Mahomes to me, from the Jalen Hurtses. Can he has plenty of talent around him. We know he himself is very talented, but can he put it all together? That is going to be the question to monitor for the Chargers this season. We don't know. We hope so. They're fighting for second, like Nell said. But if any team in this division can push the Chiefs, it's going to be the Chargers. So hopefully, Coach Staley is somebody gonna get fired if they don't put it all together. I mean, his seat getting a little warm too. especially after, like you said,
That
that
thing's kind of hot. That joint kind of
it,
hot.
it's been hot, and he's coaching for his life. Justin Herbert's not going nowhere. Did he already get paid, or is he up next to get paid, or did he? Uh,
I think he got an extension.
yeah. Well,
I'm
if
not on
either
that, but I feel like he
yeah, and either way, he if he didn't get paid yet, he's gonna
don't
get paid
come to
soon.
yeah.
So I mean, he's earned his money, but now you got to win some football games. Because I mean, it's nothing left to do. Well, look at the last team in this division, the Raiders. They got a lot of things going on over there. Josh Jacobs, who led the NFL in rushing last season, has re-signed 1 year, $12 million deal. We talked a little bit about the running backs. I mean, he's worth more than that, but I understand get something guaranteed on the books. Are the Raiders still the Raiders, or can we expect a little something more from them this year with Jimmy Garoppolo under center? What you got?
Yeah, definitely still the Raiders. I mean, I mean, I rock with Jimmy G, but can you really count on him to be healthy? He's 40-17 as a starter, but he hasn't played every game in the season since 2019, so you can't really trust him to stay on the field. Uh, Obviously, the talent that he had in San Francisco, and a couple of starts in New England, obviously helps his record, but it's offensively they got some talent. Obviously, Josh Jacobs, league leading rusher last year. He's got his 1 year deal, so he's going to be out there with something to play for. Obviously, they got Devontae Adams to pair with his friend Derek Carr, and that didn't work out. So, but he still had 1,500 yards last year and 14 touchdowns. So he's obviously a big time playmaker. So if Jimmy G can stay healthy, they won't necessarily be in the thick of things in terms of playoffs, in my opinion. But they
They'll
can
compete. They'll
it can be
compete.
a good offense.
Yeah.
Offensively they should be solid. Defensively, not really much to talk about outside of Crosby. Um,
You got Chandler Jones, man.
yeah. They did add Jacoby Myers too to go next to Devontae. So, like I said, offensively they got some nice pieces.
Yeah, they got some pieces over there. But like you said, I don't know that they're kind of just who they are. Um, I like Jimmy Garoppolo as well. I don't think he's great. He won't necessarily lose you games, but he's always hurt or he's always banged up and he's playing through it and making them look whatever. Tay Adams is one of the best receivers in the league. He's gonna do what he does, regardless of who's at quarterback. We've seen that. We know what Josh Jacobs is. Um, but yeah, it's just not a lot going on. It's nothing that's gonna blow you away. And you're looking at this division where you got to play the Chiefs. We talk about the Chargers and even the Broncos. Like we said, they're gonna be competitive. Plus, counting how talented just the AFC is overall, it's really easy to get lost in the shuffle. And I think the Raiders are one of those teams. Like you'll look back and you'll be like, oh, I mean, they didn't have a terrible year, right? But nothing that's really saying that they're a Super Bowl contender. I think we kind of know, out of this division, it's probably Chiefs, then Chargers, and then the last two kind of fighting for, you know, just not to be the worst team in the NFL. I don't think either of these teams are uh pushing to the, tank for Caleb uh stance. However, I don't really see too much coming out of the Broncos or the Raiders. The Broncos maybe a little more than the Raiders. But this is far and away Pat Mahomes' division, right? And it's going to be that way until he says it's not going to be. And then following him up, we got Justin Herbert, who, by the way, he did sign his 5 year, $290 million extension. So he's locked down. He earned that money, so I won't talk bad about him. But the Raiders, they might get lost in the shuffle. So my boy Jeezy's big Raiders fan. I know my barber's a Raiders fan. I might have to hope he don't watch this. He might mess me up, but hey, I don't got too high of hopes for the Raiders this year. Beautiful stadium though. So moving from that, we talked a little bit about each team now. X factors. Who do you have being the key X factor? We'll start with the Denver Broncos. Biggest X factor.
Yeah, gotta be the money man. We talked about
Gotta
Russell Wilson.
be. Gotta be.
Uh,
Mr.
you
Unlimited.
head coach, obviously, last year it was just terrible. for everybody. So he's got a lot to prove this year, and obviously he's got to be better if they want to win games. He was, like I said, the defense. There was a lot of games they lost like 12-9, like
Mhm. They fought. The defense fought for
under
them.
under 20
They
points.
fought for
Like
them.
defense had them in a lot of games, and Russ was just a shell of himself last year. So I'm a trust that he gets back to playing a lot better football this year, especially under Sean Payton. I think he's going to be huge for them to win games this year.
Yeah, I'm right with you. I have Russell Wilson as my X factor. It's just it's gotta happen. It's gotta be him. He's got to dial it back, go back to whatever he had when he was in Seattle, making magic happen. The Broncos need that. Sean Payton is desperately counting on him to be that guy. And if he can be, like you said, that defense kept him in a lot of games last year. The Broncos made it really tough for the Chiefs when they played as well. I'm not saying that they'll beat them this year, but a much better Russell Wilson wins the Broncos a lot more games, gets them a little bit over the hump, and lets them at least fight for a wild card spot. We'll move on from the Broncos. We'll look at the Chargers. Who you got? Who is their X factor this season?
I'm gonna go Joey Bosa. I know there's
Hmm.
a lot of pressure on Herbert this year with that offense to get it done, but I expect that offense to be elite and to put up numbers. Especially got a new offensive coordinator. Herbert was dealing with his ribs last year. He should be 100% healthy. You just got too many guys on that offense for it to not to be great. Now defensively is where is going to tell us if they're going to be a Super Bowl contender or just a wild card contender. And I think Joey Bosa is the key to that defense not being good but great. He just all the attention is now with Nick Bosa, but the first Bosa reigned terror over this league. His name was Joey, and
Yep.
we'll see what he can get into this year. Hopefully, he can stay healthy.
Yeah, I'm right on pace with you. You got Bosa. I put the Chargers defense as a whole. You named the main player, but got Khalil Mack, you got Eric Kendricks, you got Derwin James, J.C. Jackson, Asante Samuel Jr. I mean, these are dogs, right? And then you look last year, they're 20th in every single division defensive stat last year. They're in the 20s. The middle of the pack. That's not when you hear those names, you think, oh my God, I'm about to go get them on Madden. I mean, crazy, right?
Top of the draft list.
Yeah, like those are guys that multiple all pros. I mean, Pro Bowler Khalil Mack was a ridiculous in Chicago. He still has that talent. He's still that guy, but we talk about injuries. Same with Bosa, same with Eric Kendricks, same with Derwin James. When Derwin James is on the football field, he's the only player in the NFL that has a chance to guard Travis Kelce, right? Like we talked about just looking at playmakers on both sides of the ball. The Chargers have that, but defensively, they have to hold up their end of the bargain. The rest of the team in this division, outside of maybe the Chiefs, have the full-on capabilities to just win game, or the Chiefs are the only team in this division that have the capabilities to just strictly win with offense. I think they just have too much firepower. They can score way too fast. The Chargers have firepower, but they don't have Pat Mahomes. For as good as Justin Herbert is, he's not Pat Mahomes. But that defense has to be what they invested in. They invested in that defense because of Patrick Mahomes, because of the teams in the AFC that they're going to have to compete with, because of the Ravens, because of the Bengals. Teams like that in the AFC, that defense has to show up. They're the X factor big time this year. If not, man, they can't. If they are 20th in every defensive stat again this season, man, we're gonna be looking at them again. Like, I mean, shoot, what else do you need? You can't pick up nothing else. They got everything on offense. You talk about how they added Quentin Johnson, another playmaker. Then they got the defense where they got all those guys over there. That those guys are veterans now. It's gotta be time for the Chargers defense to hold up their end of the bargain and save Justin Herbert. Who do you have next? Looking at the Kansas City Chiefs, who is the biggest X factor for the Chiefs?
Say the biggest X factor for the Chiefs is that Super Bowl hangover. That's that's pretty much like the only
Like
thing.
that. Like that.
That's like the only thing that can stand in Pat Mahomes' way is Super Bowl hangover. You see Chris Jones holding out. Schedule's gonna be tougher this year. I think the Bengals are gonna edge them out, and be the number one overall seed. Either them or the Bills. So I don't think we'll be in Arrowhead in the AFC Championship this year. So we'll see. But I think the only thing standing in their way is the Super Bowl hangover because with Patrick Mahomes, you've always got a shot.
Yeah, hey, I can't compete with that one. That's a good one. I don't even think there is an X factor. I had a hard time. I'm thinking about, how do I define X factor, right? I'm like, if this person performs, then they will be fine. So like, it's easy to say Pat Mahomes, right? Like, but we know Pat Mahomes is gonna perform. It's not a matter of if.
Yeah,
It just
he's
it's just it's just what
leg.
crazy thing. Yeah, like it's just what crazy thing can he do today? You know what I'm saying? Like, even on his worst games, he does something you just like, bruh, you serious right now? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it it can't you can't say the run game because they don't need it. I mean, you can't you Isaiah Pacheco is gonna have a good year this year. I think I like him as a back. I think even looking at the receiving core, you like, I mean, who do they have? They said they got rid of Tyreek Hill. We was like, oh, they won't be able to do the same thing. They did it
As
anyway.
long as you got Kelsey on that
As
field,
long as 87 is on the
it don't
field,
matter who on the outside.
exactly. So I'm looking like, oh, maybe he's an X factor. No, I'm looking at the receiving core. It's like it really don't matter who's over there. He made Justin Watson, who played for my Bucks and did nothing, made Justin Watson look good, right? Like it's hard. The defenses, they're gonna be fine. Uh, Steve Spagnuolo is another great coach, another great mind. Like they'll be fine. So I'm right with you with the Super Bowl hangover. We've seen that with teams where they're like, they get complacent, right? So I think complacency might be the biggest X factor for the Chiefs. I'm right with you, Nell. We 2 for 2 on that one, man. Rounding it out, Raiders, biggest X factor. Who you got?
I think for the Raiders, I'm gonna say their defense as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, like you talked about, if Jimmy G's healthy, I mean, they've got a solid offense. You got the league leading rusher. You got a true alpha number one dog at receiver. So Jimmy's, he's steady. He's a steady quarterback when he's healthy. He's not gonna make the big plays and take you over the top, but he should be able to put up points with the guys that he has around him. So if that defense can just be solid, I think they'll win a couple more games than I think people expect. But if the defense isn't that good, I think they were had the highest passer rating allowed in the league last year. If that happens again,
Yeah.
especially in that division, with those quarterbacks that they're going to be facing,
Be a lot of blowouts.
yeah, uh,
Yeah.
be a lot of losses, thanks to the defense. So, defense got to step up this year for sure.
Yeah, I like that pick. I'm gonna go with Jimmy G. I think he, like you said, man, we kind of know who he is, right? We know what he is as a quarterback, as an NFL player. He has his days where it's like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like he keeping you in it. And that's respectable. I mean, we can't diminish what he does. I mean, he does win football games, no matter how it looks, no matter if you like it or not. Um, I think he's like the ultimate game manager. I think if they can get some more out of him, like you said, their defense isn't great, but if they can get some more out of him to the point where it's like, okay, he's keeping them in some ball games, not taking them out of ball games, controlling the clock, maybe that can help that defense out. I think that'll help the Raiders be a little bit more competitive. Josh Jacobs, I mean, he can't do much more than what he did last season running the football. He's definitely one of the better backs in the league. Tay Adams is arguably the best receiver in the league, depending on who you're asking. So it's not like he doesn't have a go-to weapon. It's not like he doesn't have a run game. And like you said, the defense is what it is. But I think if Jimmy G can kind of hold it down, you know what I'm saying, play well, maybe be above average as opposed to just kind of steady. If he can be a little bit above average, that gives him a chance to, claw at something. Claw, they're not going to be a Super Bowl contender. Nobody's going to say that. I think there's one Super Bowl contender in this division, and there's one team that's fringe, depending on if they can put it all together. I don't think the Raiders are in that spot. But I think if Jimmy G can give them a little bit of something, they have an opportunity to be a lot better than people might think they will be. So that'll do that for the X factors, man. We talked about each team over under segment. I'm gonna say I'm probably gonna go under on everybody that's not the Kansas City Chiefs. But for the sake of the pod, Nell, start me off. Denver Broncos over under. Where they at?
We got 8.5.
No,
No,
I don't think so. I think potentially I see them getting 8. I think Sean Payton. I
I'm in
don't.
the 8 to 9 range with
Yeah,
them.
it'll be they'll be playing. They'll be 7 between 7 and 9. I think is safe. I like the number. I like the line. Um, but that's a tough one. I mean, the division is tough. Um, and it all kind of depends on Russell Wilson, right? What we said, can Russell Wilson be who if he can be who we've known him to be? I'd be like, okay. I mean, I understand that. I see that, especially with the defense and the way they played last year. I don't know how much that'll change under Sean Payton, if at all. I mean, he always had some pretty stout defenses when he was in New Orleans. But I'm gonna say for right now, until I see something else, man, I'm gonna go under on the Broncos.
Yeah, actually, I kind of like their schedule. They got some good opponents at home, but yeah, I'm a rock with the under. I think they can get the 8 wins. At best they'll get to 9, but I'll take the under for the safe side.
I think that's safe. I wouldn't be upset if we got that one wrong. Like I said, we rooting for Russell Wilson over here if he can put it all together. But right now, I think that's
No,
safe.
I'm gonna take the over, Russ. I got you. I'm taking the over. Give
Okay,
me 9.
now.
Give me Broncos 9.
All right, Nell.
Yeah.
Nell is riding with the Broncos. He took the over. We'll see how that plays out. Moving right along, we're gonna go on to the Chargers. Where they sitting at?
9.5.
Ah, what did they get 10 last year?
Because they're
Dang, I said I was gonna go under. I mean, they got 10 last year. I think they can get 10 this year as well. I'll take the over. I'm not going to do them like that. That defense is too talented. That offense is too talented. Injuries and consistency will be the biggest thing for them. Coaching as well. That's something that, I mean, we don't talk a ton about the coaches on here, but that stuff matters as well. But I think the Chargers have it all. Man, if they can put it together, bro, they can be dangerous. They can be like a Cincinnati and kind of make some noise. They can stay in games. They got enough offense for that. They got enough playmakers on defense, even if they bend a little bit, just not break. You got pass rush, you got secondary, but it gotta stay healthy. But I'm gonna take the over. I think they get that pretty safely.
Yeah, I'm a rock with the over too. I think they'll win probably 10 or 11 games. I think they might even, might come down to a game or two with the Chiefs, for that division. Yeah, we'll see.
I gotta see. I gotta look and see when they play. Let me see where that falls on the schedule. I think there probably be. I'd be curious to see how the NFL did that one. They see them. What week is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then they don't see them again until the last week of the season. I figured. So there it is, right there. It's gonna come down to that
Yeah,
game. I
we'll
mean, their
see.
last. I'll go ahead.
I said, we shall see.
Yeah, I mean, hey, looking at their last three, man.
She's scheduled no cupcake this year.
Hey, Bills, Broncos, finish with the Chiefs. You'll tell
Crazy.
us who you are in the last 3 weeks. We'll know exactly who the Chargers are by the time we get to that last week, man. I think we're gonna go with the over though. They got some favorable ones in there. They got the Patriots, they got the Packers, who Nell is not high on, but
Easy dub.
we gonna get around to that. They're gonna have to grind some games out because the schedule's not that easy, but they definitely had a talent to do it. We're gonna say over. I'm gonna give them a chance. I'm being a little more lean than I thought I would be. But last but lot, but not. Oh wait, no, I forgot about the Chiefs. I can't forget about the Grim Reaper. I almost moved on to the Raiders. Where you got the Chiefs at? What's the
Already
line
penciled him in for
shocking
14.
at what?
You already penciled him in for 14 or something. That's why you forgot about him.
I know it was 14 now.
Nah, nah, it's 11 and a half.
Oh, I was about to say go. 13.5 is a crazy line. That's a go. 11.5. I'll take that easily. I'm not. That might be the easiest money out there,
That
man.
Bucks under was too easy. My fault.
that'll end this show, y'all. It's gonna, we're gonna wrap this thing up right now.
Go to the Raiders.
So we both go over on the Chiefs. Easy money. We'll
Yeah,
wrap it up with the Raiders. What
six
you
and a half.
Ooh, dang. That's
So
vicious.
I got them Raiders at 6-7.
Yeah,
Six.
I was gonna say I can see them getting 6. Let me pull that schedule up. I'm gonna pull that one.
I'm gonna go under just because I'm gonna say Jimmy don't.
Jimmy get hurt, yeah.
I'm gonna say Jimmy don't stay healthy. I don't know.
Broncos, Bills,
What
Steelers.
it is, but I don't think it's I think it's gonna matter.
Yeah.
Raiders schedule is pretty
It
crazy.
might be cooked, bro. I only see looking at the schedule, I'm just looking at like surefire. Like they probably should win this. I mean, they play the Colts late in the season.
AFC team's gonna be they're gonna be feasting on the Colts.
Yeah, yeah,
They're gonna be like, we need to win somewhere.
yeah. Outside of that, the next easiest game probably the Bears or the Lions, which we already talked about the Lions. We talked about the Bears.
Those are toss up.
I mean, they got. I mean, shoot.
I'd probably
I'm gonna have to go under, bro. Broncos, Bills, Steelers, Chargers, Packers, Patriots, Bears, Lions, Giants, Jets, Dolphins, Chiefs, Vikings, Chargers, Chiefs, Colts, Broncos. It might be tanking for Caleb. Josh Jacobs might should have just sat this one out.
Vegas.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough.
Not bad.
Yeah, I don't see them getting to 7.
I know you saw the quote. I mean, not the quotes. The Cardinals cut quote McCoy. They getting the number one pick.
Yeah, they've. I said it. I said my boy Greg. I'm sorry, but it ain't the year. So everybody seems to be on the same page. NFL gonna look into that though, because I don't know what they got going. The Patriots, they cut every quarterback that's not named Mac Jones off of their roster. I don't know what they got going on. It's some funny business out here, man. It's some funny business. I think the Raiders will be trying to. I mean, it's gonna be hard to keep with the Cardinals, because the Cardinals, they got a very good head start, right? Their roster's not good. They don't have a quarterback, so they're gonna lead the tanking for Caleb sweepstakes. But the Raiders, looking at that schedule, you might have no choice. You might just be sitting there looking at them. Yeah. So that's gonna wrap us up, man. The AFC West is the Chiefs division to lose.
Thank God.
AFC North.
Check.
You said what?
I said, thank God we wrapping up. My computer was about to check.
They heard you talking that crazy stuff, man. They don't want to hear about they heard that Bucks comment and they said it's time for the battery to let go, man. But that's gonna wrap it up, man, for our NFL divisional breakdowns. Finished off the AFC North, which we are gonna title the Prove It division, and then the AFC West, which is Pat Mahomes' division. We appreciate y'all rocking with us throughout this divisional breakdown. We're 1 week away now from the real deal.
Real fun.
A week from the day you all will hear this pod, man, we will have NFL regular season football action. We're going to come to you next week. We're going to look at some superlatives, some award predictions. We're going to try to get real fun and entertaining with it. So y'all stick around for that, man. If y'all got something that y'all want to hear, y'all got something you want to say, you want to give your 2 cents, man, never hesitate to leave a comment on the pod's Instagram, 2for2 pod, the Twitter as well. We don't call it X around here. Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, man. Comment, like, subscribe, do all of that. We appreciate the love. Nell, you got anything to leave us with for today, man?
Look forward to next week, man. That's all.
You see, he got his Cowboys hat on. I got my Bucks jersey will be out next week. I don't know if I'm coming with anything else. We'll see what's in store. I know Nell got some good stuff in store for y'all as well. So like I said, man, keep rocking with us. We appreciate all the love. 2for2. We out.